Welcome back to the Figure Kit Garage, fellow kit builders and resin heads. Brent Krug back after quite an absence. I apologize for that. Between work and doing my entry for the Resin Maniacs kit contest, didn't have time to really focus on doing kit reviews, but I'm back and here we go once again. This is a review video of two kits that I picked up this past Saturday, as well as a work in progress of a kit that I picked up all the way back in April at Monster Palooza, and I'm going to go ahead and bring him out. He was one of two kits that I picked up, super deformed style, excuse me, and this is of Wolverine. And this kit has been a lot of fun to paint, with the exception of the resin material that it's made from. It's almost a porcelain. I wound up having to use a set of diamond burr bits that I bought off of Amazon, and if you haven't broken down and bought a set of these things, you need to. They come in a set just like this, and I have some that are regular. Cannot find those at the moment. These are supposedly titanium coated. As you can see, they come in all different shapes and sizes for all different needs, but they are definitely a big help, and I believe that set was $22 or $23 off of Amazon. The material that this is made from, like I said, is closer to a porcelain than a polyurethane resin. Made the seam lines really hard to get rid of just using regular rough grit sandpaper, and believe me, I tried, and I actually started losing some of the detail in the pants and a few areas on the shirt because I was pushing way too hard. So I fired up the Dremel tool with a few of those bits and got rid of the seam lines quite quickly. I got the base coated in fertile soil from Badger Minotaur. Haven't worked on that, and I should have gotten this thing done first, but I always get ahead of myself and jump straight to the figure, so that's my downfall. Apart from the material to work with, this kit has been a blast to work on. The detail has just been excellent all the way around. Trying a new way to do skin tones. Been a lot of fun. Absolute lot of fun. I'll get the arms here. Figuring out how I was going to do hair. That was a little tricky, but it came out really decent. Got some nice washes on the veins. I love how the shadows turned out. To say that he is the most muscular Wolverine I've ever seen would be an understatement. And the other arm itself. Really unique way of sculpting hair into a kit. It's raised ridges actually more than anything else. And once I get his arms glued in, he'll have that look. And I still have 6 resin blades to get primed and painted. And I have the cigar that fits in between his teeth. And once I get those taken care of and the arms glued on and get the base done, he will be finished. But this kit, I love it. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. Nice little turnaround. Detail in the shirt, sculpted very nicely. Really cool Wolverine kit. Can't wait to start on the Captain America. And now we come to the review part of my video. And the first of the two kits that I'm going to review was released by Paul Gill and sculpted by Mark Van Tine. And it's none other than Pennywise, as played by Bill Skarsgård in the 2017 remake of the Stephen King novel. Or I should say the 2017 remake of the 1990s version of It, which starred Tim Curry as Pennywise the Clown. Mark did a beautiful job sculpting both the base and the bust itself. Just looking at this guy alone, it gives me chills. It really does. Overall height on this kit is 8 inches. Get a little close up. Mark even got the cracks in the forehead makeup nailed beautifully. Ruffles and the costume around his shoulders and neck area executed very, very nicely. Seam line work, little running through the hair. And this is my fiance's bust, so she's gonna learn how to clean mold lines out of hair. I don't really envy her on that one, but I'm gonna have to show her the best way to do it. Runs down along through the ruffles onto the shoulders. That's negligible. That's really, really not a big concern. Very, very minor. Again, the casting on this kit, as with the bust that I've reviewed for Logan and a lot of the other stuff that he produces, he does all the casting himself, and his castings are clean and excellent. Minor mold line down along the bottom, not really a major thing. The likeness to the makeup for Pennywise is just nuts. Absolutely crazy. And this is the first of 2 busts by Paul and Mark of this character. The second one is much larger, from the basement nightmare sequence that young Bill has, where he sees Pennywise in the basement and he comes at him out of the water with a serious overbite and razor sharp teeth. That bust is a lot larger than this one, from what I was told, and now I'm going to have to get it for myself so I can add that to my collection so we can have both. The base, very simple, definitely haunting to say the least. Little, I'm assuming, child skull buried in the muck and the dirt down in the sewers where it lurks. The raised "it" lettering on the wall itself, beautifully sculpted. Piping done very nicely. And a little tennis shoe of a child that had fell victim to this creature, which you just run your finger over it and you can feel the detail that Mark sculpted into it. So that's going to allow washes to dirty that thing up quite nicely. 0 air bubbles in any way, shape, or form. There are no mold lines on this base. I picked this up at Monsters in Motion this past weekend, and I was really surprised. On the bottom, it had a beautiful drawing by Mark Van Tine, a red balloon with the words "it" and his signature. Really nice. That made it a worthwhile purchase. This kit can be purchased from Paul Gill. You can get a hold of him on Facebook, either through Resin Maniacs or Figure Model Kits. Really beautiful kit. The only thing I'm going to have to work on is the little peg that he would normally sit on. I'm going to have to drill and pin whenever she starts this. I'm just going to use square brass tubing to set him down on top of there, and then he will set about like that, horrifying in all his glory. Mark sculpting is it's great, absolutely fantastic. Even though this bust was released a while back, I'm real happy to review this for Paul. It just he has a way of doing probably some of the greatest characters that show up on screen, and Mark has a way of just bringing these things to life. Hair detail, all kinds of washes and dry brushing, just the possibilities are endless. It's nicely sculpted. So there we have it for it. And I'm going to take him and put him off to the side. And now I'm going to review a blast from the past. Back in the, I want to say maybe late 90s, early 2000s, maybe even earlier than that. Cellar cast model kits released a bust called the Wizard. And I picked this one up at Monsters in Motion as well. Comes in 3 pieces. It's about 8 3/8 inches tall. And there we have the Wizard. Reminds you very, very much of a certain wizard from The Lord of the Rings. This bust was sculpted by Steve West. This is the first Cellar cast kit that I've ever owned. There's another one that I do want, the Demoness, that was also sculpted by Steve. This one is just, it's amazing. Textures all over the place between the tree, his clothing, his beard, his face, and his hat. And I'll bring him a little bit closer. Just excellent wrinkle detail in the skin, around the cheeks and the eyes. Hair detail in the beard and the hair itself is just beautiful. Textured on the underside of the hat bill, along the top, gives it a nice sense of motion, especially with the way his head is turned, the way his beard is blowing back. Textured detail in the upper part of the cape that he wears, and then even textured down in the robe underneath that. You know, really, really nicely achieved. Mold line running across the top of the hat bill itself and up underneath. Not too shabby though. Seam line running across through the hair, across the shoulder. I'll probably have to locate that other seam line. That's going to be a blast. Tree trunk detail. Just, it's beautiful. This is a kit that I'd wanted for years and never got a hold of. Finally got it, and I'm really, really happy with it. Kind of coincidentally that I'm reviewing a Cellar cast kit. Steve also did the Hamish kit, which I reviewed along with my Wolverine and Captain America, or excuse me, Doug West. I did not realize that was a Cellar cast kit, so I have to correct myself on that. This kit, as I said, comes in 3 pieces, and the second piece is a crow that sits into a nice peg on his shoulder, and the legs are sculpted onto the bust itself, so the alignment for the bird actually sits quite nicely. The feather detail that was done, really, really beautiful. Just nicely done all the way around, underside, topside detail, and he sits just like that. A little bit of mold line work, a little bit of cleanup on the bird, and he'll be good to go. This one's going to be a fun one to do, especially age makeup for a wizard. Age spots, weathered skin. It's going to be a lot of fun. The only nitpick I have with this bust in any way, shape, or form is that it comes with a crystal ball. And the crystal ball itself looks like a type of plastic, but it has a seam line running right down the dead center of this thing. And I'm either going to find a real crystal of the same size, or I'm going to try and fill in that there's a little divot right there from the casting process, and I'm going to try and sand that seam line off and then polish that up and get it as invisible as I possibly can. No guarantees that that's going to work, but you never ever hurt to try. The crystal balls sit in there just like that, and this base is done to where you could actually put a base up underneath it and then set an LED up to where that would light up. and it's a very simplistic kit, not overstated or understated, just very nice. Now, let's see if I can get him to sit on there without falling. There we go. A wizard and his bird, with his crystal ball foretelling the future, the past, the present, who knows. And one of the other things that this kit did come with was a really beautiful photo of the finished bust, which I've always kind of liked when companies do that. You know, show you what a kit can look like, you know, all the detail and everything that these artists put into these kits. That's kind of a nice touch. I like that. I like that a lot. For the reviews, that is it. As I said, for the IT bust, contact Paul Gill in either Figure Model Kits or Resin Maniacs for availability and pricing. There are 2 versions available. I do plan on getting the other one for myself, as I said. Get in contact with Paul and he'll set everything straight for you. He's always a good guy to work with. He won't steer you wrong. Also, congratulations to the winners of the most recent Resin Maniacs Facebook online contest. I don't have their names written down, and I apologize for that. 43 entries this year, a lot of great kits. My kit, the Pure at Heart that I posted up on Facebook, was one of them. Although I didn't win, I'm damn proud of the work I put in on that. I really, really am. So congratulations to all the winners and everybody out there that entered. You guys entered some really, really good pieces this year, and we'll see what comes up next year. So once again, this is the Figure Kit Garage, signing off for the evening. To all you guys and gals attending Jersey Fest this weekend, have a blast. Wish I could be there. Have a good night, folks. Build a kit.